Hello. Today we will be talking about our spill program, a key component of WIPECO. Mark?
Well, spill component, basically what is spill? Spill is broken down into two different areas. Spill containment, so items that we have to contain a spill, make sure it doesn't go further from where it already has taken place. And then the pickup, the cleanup afterwards. So let's talk a little bit about history. Historically, spill containment has been basically kitty litter. In the past, this clay material has been used to be thrown down onto a spill to contain it by creating little dams, and also to pick it up by spreading it and then picking up a shovel and throwing it into a barrel to be disposed of. Nowadays, things have evolved. They have a product called diatomaceous earth, which I have a hard time saying, so I'm sure I said it wrong. But basically, diatomaceous earth is just like clay, except that it's more porous. It has a little bit more fingers out there and more holes in it, so that when it's thrown down on the ground, it'll absorb more. So a clay particle, the material will just hold on to the outside, it won't actually penetrate into it, whereas the diatomaceous earth with the holes in it, it'll penetrate and it'll pick up more. It's lighter weight, and you get more bang for the buck with the diatomaceous earth option. There's other options that are less well known out in the marketplace for picking up spills, things like peat moss and other fibers that are out in the marketplace, which would be wood pulp based. We won't talk about them today, but be aware that they are out in the marketplace, and when you do have questions about something like that, see your manager, see myself, or John Kaufman is our actual in-house expert, as well as Pat Jeffries. You can always ask questions to those two. They know the industry very, very well.
So the industry started off in clay, and then you say it moved on to other products. Now, what was the problem with clay?
Well, basically it was an ineffective tool, and it's dirty too. There's other components from a health point of view. It contains silica, so when you breathe silica, it can be dangerous. Now, they don't have a lot of silica in it, but it is there, and so there is a concern for that. But in terms of a tool, it is almost below the good. It's not a very effective tool. Again, the stuff adheres to it, it doesn't penetrate into it, so it will only stick to a certain portion of it, so it doesn't pick up everything. And when you spread this out, it makes a big mess. It gets stuck under your shoes, you have to shovel it up, you have to broom it up. Picking it up is very labor intensive, so hence there's been a big movement in terms of making a more effective tool to contain the spill as well as to pick up the spill. Diatomaceous earth is one area, peat moss and other fibers is another option, but realistically WIPECO focuses all of its energy on pads, booms, and socks. So let's get into that. A pad basically is in our case, a 15 by 18 made of polypropylene. The polypropylene is pressed, and you'll see the dimples on here. It's basically melted, so kind of a melt-blown version of it. It will now create a very, very absorbent pad for certain types of chemicals. So there are two types of pads. This one is the standard white. White is associated with hydrophobic. Hydrophobic meaning water will not penetrate into it or absorb into it. It'll actually beat on there and stay all day long. It will not go into it. And then the other type of pad is gray. Gray is considered universal. Anything that's water-based, any other chemicals or liquids will go into gray. Gray will universally pick up everything, and white will only pick up hydrocarbons. So gas, oil, grease.
So why wouldn't I use gray all the time?
Well, if you're in an environment that has water into it, for instance, one of the applications in the construction industry is to pick up oil or grease that goes into the water. They have a hydraulic leak, a pipe bust, and it goes into the water. You can throw down these pads onto the water. They will float, but they will pick up the hydrocarbons, which are also floating on the top of the water. So it helps clean up a water-based environment. Or you're working outdoors, you have a leak and it's raining, your gray pads will saturate very, very quickly with that water and become useless. The hydrophobic pads serve that purpose.
So we offer in white, which is universal.
Yes.
We offer in gray, I'm sorry, in white, which is hydrophobic, in gray, which is universal, and we also offer it in yellow. Yellow is essentially the same thing as gray, meaning it is universal, but it is used as a hazard safety. So if our client wants to pick up a chemical product, for example, or anything where they deem it worthy to have a notice, we simply offer a yellow that is more flashy, more visible for them, but it is absolutely the same product as the gray.
So what is the difference between gray and white aside from its performance? It's a very simple formula. They're both made of exactly the same product. The only difference between the two is obviously there's a color dye involved, but secondly there's a chemical added to it, which is, what is the name of it? I can't remember. I just had a blank. I had it a moment ago.
Yeah, he'll cut that out.
All right, yeah, I'm assuming.
You don't have to mention that part. Just skip where he says the word. What is the difference between? I don't think.
Yeah, okay.
Continue.
So moving on, the materials, the polypropylene in gray and white are available in different versions. So the second most popular version is, we've talked about the pads, is in rolls. So they come in big rolls of 150 yards, and they allow you to basically unroll it onto a surface where you need to cover big surfaces. The rolls are very popular. The other portion I didn't talk about yet is the thickness. They're available in a lightweight, medium weight, and heavyweight. That's all about the GSM. How much does it weigh per bag of 100 or bag of 200? The grams per square meter is what's important. And we carry it in 3 different weights. So we have the lightweight, which is a bag of 200 pads. We have a heavyweight, a medium weight, sorry, which is a bag of 100 pads, weighs about 9 pounds. And then we have the heavyweight, which runs about 12 pounds and also is a bag of 100. They're all 15 by 18. It's all about the thickness. Same construction, same everything. It's just what is its capacity to absorb is the only difference between one and the other.
Now here's where it becomes important. In this industry, as Mark said, it's all about the weight. Meaning, the heavier it is, the heavier a bag of 100 is, the more it'll absorb the liquid. Whether it's gray, so it'll absorb anything, or it's white, it'll absorb oil. In our industry, there's a lot of cheating going around. And the less products you use, the less you'll be able to absorb. Therefore, the cheaper you'll be able to sell it. So, what does this mean? You'll often go to see some of your clients who have a medium weight pad, and they'll say, my price is X. And in your head, you'll say, well, that's not possible. You couldn't be selling it, getting it at that price. It's below our cost. What you should always do, and what we tell all of our employees to do, is to carry on a little scale, or tell the client, weigh, sir or madam, weigh your medium weight, or your heavy weight, or your lightweight. I guarantee you that if their price is that cheap, it's because there's some cheating. So an average medium weight pad, a pack of 100 will weigh, in our case,
About 9 pounds.
about 9 pounds. So if you weigh this bag, you'll see it'll weigh 9 pounds. But if you go to the competition and their bag weighs only 8 pounds, well, that means it's 12% less weight, therefore 12% less absorbency. And that's how it's done. And it brings us to a little story that we always hear about. It's the story in Louisiana where they call it the New Orleans snowflake. So what is the New Orleans snowflake? It's actually a funny story. In New Orleans, they've always wanted to pay $10 for their medium weight pack of 100. But obviously, cost and labor goes up through the years. But clients never wanted to pay more than $10. So what did they do is they kept reducing and reducing and reducing the weight so that they would keep the price at $10. A little bit like the bags of chips we buy at the store. We always notice that the volume goes down, but the price remains the same. So today, the New Orleans snowflake weighs a lot less, hence the name snowflake, but is still sold at $10 a bag. So it's very important that you make sure that you compare apples to apples by weighing those products with our competitions.
Okay, so the gray pads and the white pads have similar composition. They're made exactly the same product. The only difference between the two is that there's a surfactant introduced into the gray pads, and of course the color dye. and the surfactant allows for the absorption of the liquids. So that's basically the only thing. If anybody asks you what they're made of, it's polypropylene, 100%, with the difference, the gray having a surfactant added into it, which allows for the absorbency of the liquids. So going forward, the pads and the rolls are used for cleanup. Once the spill has been made, contained with other products, the pads are put down onto the spill to pick up. In terms of controlling a spill, however, the next product is a very important aspect. For a smaller spill, we have our socks. So basically, a sock is made of the same materials as, in this particular case, the white one, as the white pads. So it's polypropylene based with materials inside which are hydrophobic, as well as the exterior shell. And it's 40 inches long, 3 inches in diameter, and it can be used to envelop a spill, to stop it from going out into where they don't want it. And what is the most often seen situation is where they're trying to control a spill from going into a drain. So a drain, the sock can go around the drain, and so that they don't have the contaminating the water with the spill that they happen to be trying to control at that particular moment.
So Mark, some of the questions that we always get asked is, how much liquid, whether it's oil or water or whatever, can a product like this absorb?
Well, there's a lot of factors involved, Danny, but as a general rule, as someone new in the industry, the number 10 is what we use. So 10 times its own weight is what we basically look at. So if you have a 9-pound
Bag of
100, you'll pick up 90 pounds worth of whatever liquid. Now, other factors like viscosity come into effect, and a whole bunch of different things which are not important at this point in time. If you have further questions about something like that, I'm sure that we can get you your answers through John and or Pat.
And the second question that we always get asked is, will this release the liquid once it's absorbed it, or the oil?
Well, that's a very good question, Danny, and it depends on the quality of the product being produced. In our particular case, the assumption is no, and that it'll stay stuck in there. It is something that if you leave it hanging, it will not start dripping. But of course, if it's over capacity, it'll start dripping. But once it's at its capacity, until it reaches a capacity, it will not leach out the liquids that it has absorbed. Okay. The other product that we carry, which is used for containing spills, is a boom. Now this is a 5-inch diameter with a scrim around it to allow it to stay together longer. And it also contains a hook at the end of it, or a ring, and basically it's to create long versions of this. Like if you had seen some of the photos being out there for the Valdez or the Gulf, the Gulf
BP oil spill a few years ago,
you would have seen an enormously long string of these being set out there to contain the spill into one particular area, and then they bring the boats in and actually vacuum up the spill as much as they can.
Now you said that this is a 5-inch. Do we offer in other sizes?
Yes, so the 5-inch is basically the diameter. We also carry an 8-inch, which gives you a much larger diameter. So obviously it's all about capacity of absorption. So again, this will still pick up. It's not just about containment. This will actually pick up the hydrocarbons that are on the surface of the water, and it is sold in bags of 4, so both the 5-inch and the 8-inch are sold in bags of 4. You have to sell them in bags of 4. We don't sell one boom at a time.
And what length are they?
They are 10 feet long. 10
Okay.
feet long, and again, made for controlling a spill in a water environment. There is such a thing as a land boom, which is a gray boom. Not very popular, you won't see them very often, but there are gray booms available. 99% of what you see out in the marketplace is going to be white. There are other complementary items that control spills as well. Things like a pillow. So basically, I think it's a 9 by 18 size material, 8 by 18 or 18 by 18 pillow. So basically, it's again about capacity. It's a thick material, There's not a lot of weight to it, but it can trap a lot of liquids with the pillows. A good spot for that is if you have a machinery that has a drip going on and you have to have a certain amount of capacity. A pillow is a good thing to put under there so it can pick up a bunch. Again, available in both gray and white. Another item that's also available are drum covers. So when in the metal drums, when they have they put a spout on the top of the cover to pull out the liquids, a lot of times that drips, so it'll protect the cover of the drum itself so that it doesn't break apart or disintegrate faster. Another product for controlling spills that we carry in stock are spill pallets. So the drums, if they have a capacity, say 45 gallons, well, the pallet itself, if it drips into it, will have almost the entire capacity of that drum in that pallet. So 45 gallons in the pallet itself so that it controls any potential leakage. Kind of a extra security that whatever chemicals are in that drum do not leach out.
And these options are endless as far as the pallets are concerned, so we do recommend that you contact John or Mark should you be within an opportunity with a client, because these are really tailor-made. We carry a lot of stuff in inventory, but some of it is also special order. We can get it very quickly because of our sourcing opportunities, but it's important that we understand the client's need based on the volume, based on the quantities that we can order these products. So before moving into the spill kits, just a very quick recap as to what the spill is all about. So as Mark said earlier, spill started off with the clay. We still offer this product. It's a product that we still sell. It's evolved with multiple options like diatomaceous earth, like also the peat moss, but really Wipeco focuses on everything that's the pads, the socks, and the booms. So the pads are in white and in gray and in yellow. White hydrophobic, gray universal, yellow the same as gray but as a warning sign to it. Hazmat. And then obviously the same product is used in a sock to create a small dam around the spill, or in the boom for the water if you need to absorb any liquid that falls into the water, and ultimately also in a pillow for those drips of the machinery. So this is pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong here, Mark, the scope of what the spill products are, and then we offer them into spill kits. So I'll let you introduce that.
So spill kit basically is an emergency response product geared towards a particular location, and they're available. When you're looking at a spill kit, you're usually talking about a capacity to absorb. So for instance, in a truck where they could have a small spill, they might have a 5-gallon kit. Here's a good example of a 5-gallon kit. This is what we call our pizza bag, and inside of that you would find a typical ingredients of 10 pads, a sock or two, a pair of nitrile gloves, either disposable or gauntlets, a disposal bag so that you can throw all these products into that to throw it away, and maybe an instruction kit. So this would be a typical 5-gallon kit that you would see. It's a reusable bag. There are other options in bags which are more economical. So I like to use the term of a pillow bag. When you buy a pillow at a store, it has a nice little zipper on there, and we use that as our economical kit. That particular bag, if bought as a kit, can actually be used as a replacement kit. So say they use up the ingredients in this bag, you buy the economical pillow bag, it can be thrown inside of this one as a more permanent bag for the location where they're using it. It is a more durable material for that reason.
It is worth noting that all of our spill kits, all of the ones that Mark will be presenting, are customizable to the client's needs. So if a client wants, universal pads in there instead of the hydrophobic, we can put those in. If somebody wants socks or no socks in it, goggles in it, or whatever other product, we can custom these bags. There are standards that we offer regularly, but we can also do custom in all the formats.
So Danny brings up a very good point. Wipeco specialty is that we are doing a lot of custom kits. Our competition tends to be a little greedy when it comes to the making of the kits and the cost that they put out. For us at Wipeco, it's about servicing our client. We take a standard markup, we cost in the labor, which is very inexpensive, and create these kits and give good value to our clients. You'll see in our brochures a recommendation of ingredients within the kit. Most of the stuff we sell do not even follow these ingredients lists. Most of our clients will come to us with an ingredients list and say to us, build me this kit, give me a price, and then we cost it out for them and give them a price. And the options are not limited to just the small kits. We have the barrels, which Danny has here, which run anywhere between 20 gallons and up to 95 gallons, which is a gigantic kit. So when you start getting into some of these bigger kits, then you start introducing booms in there and specialty ingredients like neutralizing chemicals and goggles and specialty gloves and static-free bags that, if they're in a possible explosive situation, they want to have a bag. So there's all sorts of different ingredients that can come our way. Our specialty is to gather those ingredients, give them a good price, and be able to win that business. So bring us the opportunities. Ask your client for their ingredients list whenever coming up with an opportunity for a kit. And the other thing is, these kits can be customized not just with the ingredients, but also with the name of the client on it. That pizza bag we just talked about is printed with Whiteco on that. For as little as 50 bags, we can be putting the name of the client onto that bag and make it their bag. So lots of opportunities to win some business here. The kits is really where we have specialized in winning some of that business, and I think it's something that Whiteco can really bring to the market and make interesting for your clients.
So this concludes our training with Spill. If you have any questions, as always, we invite you to go see your managers or come speak with us directly. Thank you.
Thank you.